Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 63 of the Coffee Club podcast. Took the week off last week, so we're fresh and ready to go. Lots happening. We just got back from Austin a few days ago, where we raced the much anticipated cross champs, which it kind of went how you would expect in a lot of ways, I guess, thinking about it now. I haven't really reflected on it until this exact moment right now, but it kind of went how you expected, but then also it was a slight letdown in other ways, I would say. But overall, for us, I think we all come away from it saying it was a great experience, just getting to travel to Austin and race with the team. That was special. So, yeah, that's obviously what today's episode is going to be about. But, yeah, boys, how we feeling? Back in the studio.
Yeah, back into it. I'm just remembering how much we hyped up cross champs, and I feel kind of stupid.
That was my reflection right there. Yeah. I was like...
Morgan was thinking about it in his head. He was literally doing the math in his head.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, we talked about it for a long time, and then it was just a race, which we knew it was going to be.
We got some appreciation, though, for our broadcasting.
For our free marketing for the cross champs.
Yeah, it's not going to be free next year.
Yeah, we're
next year we'll charge for...
I was going to say, we did help him out a lot, because like everybody was hearing about it through Coffee Club. So, well, our fan base was, which was like pretty big for Austin. I mean, in general, I'm thinking, good team trip. I think it was a good team trip. We were staying in like a haunted mansion. I don't know what the fuck was going on, but there was like these bust heads of animals and old wooden creaky floors and stuff. It was just like a kind of like a spooky little Austin getaway. It was pretty fun with the team. Massive place.
Yeah, we were in the governor's mansion, which had, I don't know how many people could have slept there, but it was like 12 bedrooms, which was sick because originally we were going to be in a hotel and all in hotel rooms, which would have kind of sucked. He crunched the numbers and saw like it would be the same price, maybe even cheaper for us to just get like a massive mansion in Austin. And Austin's an interesting city where there's obviously a lot of new stuff there, but then there's all these kind of hidden away just mansions of these crazy, wealthy or important like Texas people. And so we're in one of those, which is very cool to be with the whole team, being able to just like hang out. The vibes there in the Airbnb were pretty good, I would say. Pretty chill.
Very good. I think George was the only one that used the pool. Oh no, Kip used the pool, but you were the only one that like jumped in a couple of times.
Pool didn't get much use.
It was pretty cold.
I'm pretty sure Kip went for a run like in the dark at like 5 o'clock in the morning, and then was just sitting in the pool
submerged for 20 minutes.
It was freezing too.
Yeah, he got out of the pool looking like he was just like shaking. Yeah, constantly shaking.
Kip is one of our treatment guys, for anyone who's wondering. Actually, we all went in the pool after the race to ice.
Oh yeah, I put my ankles in.
We both did.
Because my ankles were absolutely fucked.
Because our bodies were pretty fucked after the race, so we went in the pool then.
Yeah, but George is the one that fully took advantage of the pool. And then in general, like the kitchen, the oven broke, so we couldn't really use the oven. So we just pretty much... Okay, so we had the classic ordering DoorDash for like 20 people, which is always a fun time to do.
I had a curry the night before the race. It was bloody good.
The salmon one? See, I messed up the order. I felt so bad.
Oh, I thought they just messed it up.
No, I was the one that... Because I put everyone's list down, and then I thought I had everyone's food down, and I missed your curry. Your korma, lamb korma, that's what you ordered. And I was looking through everything, and Yared ordered 2 fucking entrees, and the dude like just hounds down food. He just doesn't he just needs to eat constantly. And I think I got overwhelmed by Yared's order that I forgot George's.
Yared put back 2 curries the night before, and that's confirms why he ran so well.
It just makes sense looking back on it. It's so obvious why he crushed it.
Well, he definitely we were going through the course. And we'll get to the course in a little bit, but he was definitely giving me the vibe of like, yeah, I don't want to fucking be here. I just want to go like he just wants to crush it, but he's just like, this course looks interesting for Yared, like the way he runs. But he was like light. He just killed it. So
yeah, we may as well just let's just go through our trip because we've kind of bounced around a little bit already. We'll just break it down so you guys at home can experience exactly what we experienced. It was honestly, it was an awesome time. So we get to Austin and then the next day day before the race, we go for our little pre-meet, which was walking over the course and doing a jog around it. And we park and we're starting to walk over to like where the track is, where we're going to put our bags. And we see I don't even know what you'd call the four-wheeler vehicle that was driving around. That was the lead vehicle for the race.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
It was like this crazy, like souped out, like, I don't know, you're taking like the swamps type thing.
There's nothing sick. It couldn't drive over.
Like, it was badass.
It was fucking sick. And so if that gives you any indication of what was required to move across the ground.
That was the first red flag when we saw what was required as a lead vehicle instead of a golf cart.
Yeah. And so, like, literally, it's at a nice private school, and it's just kind of like a little dinky grass patch, which, like, doesn't even look like people would walk across it. Like, it's like, yeah, you wouldn't go there. Like, and then that's when we walk across, and we're like, wait, is this the course? And then we realized that we're walking across the course, and we're like, this doesn't look very nice. And it was like, the crazy thing was, like, the more that we saw of it, we're like, hang on, like, we have to run, like, around here and, like, down there. And it's just, like, grass that was, like, not manicured at all, not, like, looked after, and just, like, a ton of rocks and stuff in it.
It was described as flat and... What was it? There was two
pancake flat.
Yeah,
I think that was the word.
Description was pancake flat, and it wasn't. It looked like a fucking. It just looked like a fucking nightmare, to be honest. With the undulation and then just the sections of just unrunnable grass or road, and we're kind of walking through it like pissing ourselves laughing. We thought it was hilarious because we're like, "There's just no way." And
it's 3 feet wide.
Yeah, it's just so skinny, and so at this point in time, we were told there's gonna be 85 people in the race, like from what Rich was telling me. So I'm thinking there's no way 85 people can like get through here.
It was like 2 to 3 meters wide in sections.
It was so narrow, and it was just like, okay, we'll go through the course, try and keep an open mind. But it was just hard not to laugh at like how bad this was, because like we come from like the last couple races we did probably in cross country was so well like set up with the course, where we're coming to this course here where it's just like very narrow, kind of like through this like obviously it's just not obviously
like
course.
Shit ground where you're gonna sprain your ankle.
Yeah,
like they made a kind of big deal out of having a hay bale in the course before it. The reason there was a hay bale is because there was a cement slab that just went across the course. So in order to cover it up, they put hay on either side.
I wouldn't call it a slab. I called it a fucking wall. It was like a wall, like a cement wall.
So like that's why there was hay. So it was just like ridiculous stuff like that. It was just funny. We're just pissing ourselves.
We're just laughing. Joe was laughing. He's like, "This is gonna be my last race, bro."
Yeah, like we're just like trying to like we're like, all right, well, I hope this doesn't like end our career.
Yeah.
And Joe goes like, yeah, man, this course is gonna be like terrible for anyone that has like tib post problems. And I'm just like, yeah, thank God I don't have those. Meanwhile, like our calves are just always fucked, like that type of stuff. So it was just hilarious. And I think that we have to make it very clear that we're not complaining about a course like being difficult. Like I think we're all on the same page where if a course is difficult, like that's actually a really good thing for us. Like that's exciting. Country. Like having hills and even like some tougher terrain to run on. But to us, there's a very big difference between a course that is like challenging and exciting and a course that just clearly hasn't been like thought through and is just like actually dangerous and just like almost unrunnable.
I was actually like going through the course.
That's a good point.
And that was a tough thing, was like going through the course. Ritz is an eternal optimist. So he's always going to be positive until afterwards when you reassess. But even at that point, he was like, yeah, if I'd known about the course beforehand, we wouldn't be running it. And like a lot of other coaches were the same, because they were worried about like situations where you have like, you're in the middle of the pack, you didn't get out, and you can't see a cement wall, you run into it, or you land and you sprain your ankle or stuff like that. Like for a lot of those athletes, it's just not worth it that early in the season to have that risk. But in general, like there was definitely a way which you could probably set up a better course, and that was apparently they did have a cross country course at school, but it wasn't grass. I think.
There's just in Austin. There's a bunch of other courses that they could have done the race on.
Well, the school had a cross country course, and the coach did say to Dathan that the reason why they didn't have it in the cross country course is because the meet specifically said we want grass, and the course wasn't grass. It was like some sort of gravel.
I mean, the reason we didn't go last year, and the reason a lot of people didn't go last year, was because it was at Mount Sag.
Yeah.
And so we all figured with a year of thought put into it, and people didn't want to run 10K on the high school hills of Mount Sag. We'll spend this year and we've got a great opportunity to actually like come up with something really good. So we all had like a lot of faith in that. And then we get there. It was like, how much thought has really gone into this?
Well, Coach Hunter...
It's just surprising.
Like Coach Hunter they were at the Mount Sac Tin Man guys, and I could see like Coach Hunter's face, and it's just like, that's not a good indication of like, they ran at Mount Sac, and they probably would say, Mount Sac's probably a little worse, but this isn't what they were expecting. But
for reference, Coach Hunter was throwing rocks off the course while we were jogging.
She was
around.
getting sticks as well and like flicking out stuff.
Yeah.
Like most of the coaches that went around, I think, were like talking to the meet and just trying to get them to like widen things.
Yeah, that was what was happening the day before. The coaches were like kind of stressing to get Jesse to change certain things because it was as if no one had tried to run fast in it before, because there were such obvious things that if you're running fast, if you're walking on the course, maybe you're like, this is fine to walk on, but if you're running fast in it, there's very obvious things like certain turns and stuff where it's just like, this is silly.
Like you get hit in the head with branches and stuff. Like there was stuff like that, and then there was a section of the course where you come off and you're running on a literal concrete road for about 200 meters, and people are gonna be wearing spikes because it was slippy and muddy, and it's just the course was just it was all terrain. It literally, the vehicle was a symbol of what the course required for your body. It was, you had to be able to get through everything. And I mean, like you said, cross country, when you have difficulty, it's great, but it's got to be in a certain
when you ask people about running Oklahoma State, everyone says that course is so hard, but when you look at that course, it's like a beautifully like custom made cross country course with super wide. The grass is like immaculate, rock hard. You can run every single turn at full pace, but people still say it's very hard. So there's a big difference between.
Terre Haute's the same. Wisconsin, Nutty Comb.
Yeah, you don't feel like you're risking your career by running them, but they're still very hard.
It's just little things like that. Like people were like thinking, I'm going to go over the hay bale, I'm going to go around the hay bale. People were like practicing. We did that. We went through the course and did some strides and stuff. And once we got, I tell you what, it's a huge advantage for us and for the other teams that were there beforehand, because a lot of other athletes who didn't have that privilege were going into this cold turkey, and that's kind of scary when you like don't even know the course and you like come up with that, like with certain situations like that and you're just not aware of it. But we were lucky enough to kind of, and other teams that were there earlier will go through the course, do some strides, and feel like, okay, this is what this was going to be like kind of simulate a little bit of what the race could entail, but. It was just kind of crazy.
I think that definitely helped us a lot.
Yeah.
But I hope we're not coming off as too pretentious right now. We're just complaining but I think it's just like when you think about it also, we haven't mentioned the fact that it was a gold label cross-country race, which is the highest level of certification that a cross-country race can have. You just have certain expectations for, essentially the safety of the people running. And then also, I feel really bad. See, we're lucky because On Running paid for our trip. Yep. I feel really bad there are a lot of people there who probably spent upwards or over $1,000 to go race, and then this is what they're given to race on, and it's just, come on, like that's not very cool. Like if you're trying to hype up a meet, make a gold label, get all these people there, make a big deal out of it, just like there's simple boxes that you have to tick.
Exactly.
And we are complaining a bit, but also we could have been in Boston running the 5K, but we chose to go out and run a team cross-country race in Austin, and I feel like there has to be like a level.
Well, it's professional. Like there are amateur athletes at that meet, but they're going to a gold label meet. Gold label meet is like there's professional athletes there, and the one thing that is great about what Sound Running was able to do is they were able to get hype around a cross-country race for professional athletes. That's amazing. That's what we want. We want to grow the sport. We want to be able to create that environment and be excited about it. But there's a certain level of professionalism you have to have. And I felt like we were going to this course. No one's ever run it before. It just got set up for this meet through a high school. It just felt a bit underwhelming. And like Morgan said, like we're fortunate enough to be able to do that without out-of-pocket costs. But there were people out there who were running, and I saw people drop out because they rolled their ankle or something like that. And they probably paid $1,000+ to be there. And it's just... That's tough. And I think the cool thing about this is that it's growth, right? So hopefully, I mean, Austin apparently has like a lot of places you could run cross country, right?
Yeah, well, it doesn't have to be at Austin either.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it's supposed to be there for the running meet, but no one went from the running meet came to the meet.
So that's the other context.
Yeah, definitely. Good. And we did go. That was the next step. After seeing the course, we got to participate in the running event, which actually is very cool.
Yeah, you should explain what the running event is for people that don't know.
It's just apparently an annual thing. It happens every year, always in Austin. It's pretty much a huge convention for every brand in running, pretty much.
Running specialty, right?
Is it
running specialty or is it running overall?
It is running specialty, but I don't know if it's like limited to that.
Yeah. I didn't
pretty much any running brands.
Yeah.
Anything related to running.
Yeah.
And they go show new products and give out samples.
Yeah,
Got a bunch
just do
of
it. It's
samples.
probably just a lot of networking, a lot of
Yeah.
like business deals. It's probably the brands trying to show off their stuff for the next year or two, and then there's probably a lot of the buyers. I don't know what they're called in the business, but the people that like do the like represent, say, like a Fleet Feet type store, like looking like what shoes they want to get in, but
Yeah.
mostly probably just networking, getting to know people in the industry.
That was crazy that they were saying, running the specialty stores are going to like the On. So On has a big stand, and so do every other brand, and they're making orders for these specialty stores for 2 years from now.
Yeah.
So far away.
Like they're ordering products so far out, and that's kind of what it's for. So we went and did a Q&A thing. These boys did a press conference.
Okay, I have to make a comment about the press conference because
it was a press conference for the cross country.
It was
meet.
in the Brooks kind of thing, and Brooks had a really cool setup. They had like running people on top and everything like that. I have to make a comment about the press conference because like
Make your comment.
Garrett Heath and Jesse,
They were actually well prepared.
Yeah, I thought they
that's
did
my
well.
that's my opinion.
I think they could be better prepared because they, number one, had made crucial mistakes on people's resumes. And I think you can't do that if you're hyping up these individual athletes and you're talking about them and trying to gain following about it. Like, for example, they said Alicia Monson was an NCAA champion in cross country. That is incorrect. They said that...
I think they meant to say she was a U.S. champion in cross country.
They didn't mention Joe Klecker's US 10K championship when they were announcing him, which I thought was a bit of a weird thing not to announce.
Yeah.
They made some errors on people's just like... like stuff like that. It's like you need to know that sort of stuff.
I feel like that's the first press conference I've been to though that people have even tried to do that.
Introduce them.
Yeah, introduce them with like some accolades.
I know, but I think
So that
I would
the fact
expect
that
them
they
to
tried.
know.
Yeah,
I think they were biting off a bit more than they could chew. Like I agree. Like I think it was impressive that they even tried to do it. But yeah, it was kind of funny. Like because there was how many athletes were there? Like 8 or 8
They made
to
it
10?
difficult by putting like 10 people.
They put a lot of people in, and they didn't have notes or anything. And so then they just had to go down the line and rattle off the accolades of everyone. That is pretty difficult to do when you have all these different athletes. So I agree that you shouldn't be making mistakes like that. But I mean,
it's a gold label cross country meet. That's
yeah.
It's just
It's
might be a bit pretentious because I have a high standard. But like for example, Natasha Rogers made the world's team. They didn't mention it.
No, they did.
I don't think they did. They mentioned her cross country prowess in college.
Yeah.
I don't think they mentioned.
No,
her
when you
making
put it like
worlds.
that about the gold, put in the context of a gold label cross country meet again, it's like you would maybe expect there to be like a more like a PR team type thing, or at least one person who that's their job to take care of that. Whereas as you can tell from kind of all our like complaints, is like this was pretty bare bones, and it was the organizers just kind of like taking on a lot and just like doing the best with it.
I just feel like they definitely did the best that they could with the situation that they had, but I think if it's a gold label meet, surely they could get more resources to help them make it as polished as possible, because it did feel very unpolished for like a meet where it's worth more than, like, for example, I think that gold label cross country win is worth more than like Joe Klecker getting top 10 at Worlds.
It's worth a lot
Shit
for the
points.
10K rankings.
Yeah. So like for me, like I think that's important. It's like Emily Infield came down to race that to try and get those points. Like those individual athletes coming in, like just I feel like it should be a bit more polished. I might be a bit too harsh on them because I think they obviously like did the best that they could with the situation, but
It's because your last race was the Zurich Diamond League final.
yeah, I know, but I get annoyed when little things like that you get wrong.
Yeah.
It makes me feel like you're supposed to be a super, like not super fan, but you're into the sport and you don't know these like
What I thought was odd was that they made a big deal about linking cross champs and the running event.
Yeah.
And they were saying kind of that was always the plan, and that last year was kind of a trial run, but they were always intending on having it in Austin.
Yeah, I didn't know
linking
that.
it to the running event. But in reality, apart from the press conference, because it was sponsored by Brooks, like the running event and the race were not. They just happened to be in Austin at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but no one from the running event was happening while the race was on, so no one could leave the running
One
event
person
to
did.
go.
One person.
Carlos.
Yeah.
There were a few
everyone's
people.
working-
I think
everyone's
like the
working.
Brooks people there, but yeah, you're right. Like I think that's another one of those things where it's just like in theory that sounds like let's link him, but then it's actually like no, like these people are busy working at the thing. They can't come drive half an hour away to go watch a cross country race.
In a high school where you have to have ID, you have to be able to get in and like just turn up and race.
Yeah.
I feel like there's some.
race, but
If they want to do them together, I feel like there's got to be a better
I think
way.
it was just convenient
Yeah.
for them to organize it
Yeah.
because then like everyone was just going to be there, and it's just a bit of a link. But yeah, the link itself was pretty unnecessary. If you really want to have the race like successful on its own, like the running event, good for the press conference, but yeah, it didn't really add anything else to the race.
It was at the Brooks thing, like.
Yeah, but that it doesn't even matter for them because it's not like there's public there.
I mean, the
or
thing that
anything.
people-
It doesn't actually matter.
No, and people like walking. I remember watching it. People walking past, looking, and then just kept walking.
Was anyone even like videoing the press conference? Could you watch
There's
that?
a couple people
I don't
taking
know if you
photos.
could.
There were some reels that were posted.
Yeah,
I mean,
guess they
actually,
made
to be
some.
honest, I've been extremely critical. So I do feel bad. But the positive side was that I think some of the questions that they were asking and responses to I thought were quite good because I look back at some of the reels of Courtney Wayman speaking. They also got that wrong about her.
Well, that was a funny question.
About being on the team that won.
Oh,
the
yeah.
selection.
They asked her about racing at BYU and the last time they won, and then trying to do that again with her teammates, and she was like, "Yeah, actually, I wasn't on that
Yeah,
BYU
that's-
team."
See, that's another thing where I'm like, you got to know.
Also,
that stuff.
Pat was on stage.
Yes, and Pat wasn't running, and they also said Pat ran a 2:10 marathon when he ran a 2:11 marathon. It was just little 2:11.
2:11.
2:11. It was just little things like that. It's like I hate to blow smoke, but I didn't like how unpolished that was. But the questions that they were asking and the responses they were getting from the athletes, I thought was really cool because it was interesting to see people's perspectives, like a lot of perspectives, because there was like 10 people on stage. That was cool. Also love the question they asked Wesley Kipto, and the way he responded to it was actually pretty cool.
What was it?
It was like because Wesley's known to go out like really hard and just like smash the start of the race, and they're like, "Are we going to see that?" And he's like, pretty much just said that there's a lot of good athletes here, and it's always going to be fast when you have those type of talent. So we're going to go for it. Like, he just kind of like went with it. It was cool how he answered that question. Like hearing him speak about that, like I've always liked the aspect of those kind of interactions with athletes and press conferences. So they did a really good job with that, I think.
Yeah, the running event itself was actually sick.
Mhm.
It's weird because I don't really think of myself as someone who cares about that stuff that much, but then honestly being there is like you could just like geek out and just go to all these different companies have their booths there and just like see their products, and it's pretty sick. I almost like bought some freaking ice spikes. There was one, I don't know if you guys got to this one because it was kind of on the other side, but there was a booth which they sell, I don't know what the company is, I apologize, but it's not, they don't sell like actual just like individual ice spikes that you put in. They sell like the things that are kind of made of plastic that you just put over your shoes, and it seems like it actually works pretty well. And they had blocks of ice inside the convention center, so you could like test them out walking on ice. And I don't know why, but that kind of caught my eye. I was like, yeah, I kind of want, because it had been snowing like the 2 weeks before here in Boulder. I was like, man, that'd be pretty nice.
Did you see the entire booth dedicated to pickle juice?
No?
There was
Like,
a pickle
it's-
juice booth?
Yeah, it's like pickle juice is like an electrolyte drink
Shit.
thing.
Genius.
I didn't try it.
Well, the cherry juice one, like I grabbed some of the cherry juice stuff, and then I think I gave it to you.
Yeah, because I love my
And
cherry
then I
juice.
walked around back, and he's like, "I'm not giving you any more, buddy."
Yeah.
We joined the Cherry Wars briefly.
The Cherry Wars. We joined that Cherry Wars fight. Damn, the Cherry Wars has been going on for a while. Deodora had the coolest.
Yeah, they won
setup.
just because they had the
They had a
coffee
Mazzocco machine, like giving out free coffee,
That was freaking sweet.
and like they actually had a really cool booth. I thought it was like simple but like very polished.
The Lamazocco
I love that
Mini.
word at the moment.
Coffee
polished.
Club Dream Machine.
Oh, dude,
So
I got
now-
to custom that Mazzocco machine.
If anyone's got an N there.
Yeah, I mean, oh god, they're so. I love those machines. They're just so beautiful. It's like a work of art for me. Like they're such beautiful machines. But that was cool. We were able to get some espresso. But in general, like that running, I didn't even know like something like that existed until going to Austin. So that was a cool thing because like in the sport, like we're so like focused on competition and performance. We're not focused on like just the general market of running specialty. It was cool to see that.
It's always weird to see how different like the whole business side of the sport is, and then you like being a professional runner. Like for us, like it's our whole world, and you think of it as being like a big deal, but then you realize like it's actually just in terms of running as a business, it's just one small part of it, and there's all these other stuff going on, and yeah, it is just cool to see though, and just to meet people, and obviously get to meet a bunch of fans and stuff. I should say thank you to everyone that came up to us and gave us nice words and all that, and
Give us
especially
some love.
the people that also came out to the race. I just want to
Yeah.
make sure we thank them as well, because we got to meet a lot of cool fans out there and all that. So that's always cool, because the thing is, coming away from it, you realize this podcast, that room essentially of the exhibition, the convention center, was like, that's our target audience essentially. Like running super, like this podcast is so niche. If you're into running, but just casually, like our podcast still won't really resonate with you. It's really just the people that are like massive fans of running and probably like work in the industry in some way that like appreciate the podcast.
We're gonna have a booth there eventually.
Yeah,
we'll have a coffee club booth, and Gus will be sitting at the desk just waiting for people.
Just
to
meet and greets,
signing
just $10 a signature for a Gus
for
signature.
For a Paul signature from Gus.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, again, like it's just really nice to see fans come out and like get excited and support. Not just us, but like our team and everyone else out there, because it's a nice thing to have, and I think fan engagement and access on a meet like that's pretty cool too, because like a lot of bigger meets you can't get as easy access to athletes, and being able to go up and get a photo and sign an autograph, it's pretty cool. So thank you for everyone that came out.
I actually had some run specialty guys, a couple of store, maybe not necessarily store owners, but people working in stores that were legit asking me what shoe I ran in, and like and what couple of shoes like they should sell, and like what I actually thought of them.
You're working as a salesperson for On?
Yeah, I should have taken commission.
You should have taken commission for that.
Well, that is like a very legitimate part of like why brands sponsor professional athletes, is just to legitimize the product, because those people that are in charge of the sales and buying the product, they trust our opinion on shoes quite a lot, I would say, because back when I was with Under Armour and they were still like in the kind of earlier stages of developing like a good running shoe, I would get calls from people actually asking me, being like, like I'm hearing this, like can you tell me actually though, like is this a good shoe, should I order it, are people gonna run on it? So it is a real thing.
There are very cool.
Honest.
I said fucking shit, don't buy it.
There are like huge marketing campaigns out there for a shoe that we might not necessarily run in,
which is crazy, huh?
I got questions.
And then sometimes in some cases we actually do all choose to run in it.
The Monster.
I get questions when I was at the On booth about all these shoes that I've never run in before, and I'm just telling them, I was like, look, I don't get those shoes, and they're like gobsmacked. They think that we get every shoe and try every shoe. But it's interesting with like a brand like that, particularly how big On is right now. They have these shoes coming out, and like for example, like the Cloud Go. I don't think like a lot of our teammates have tried that yet, but that's a cool shoe, and that like just came out, but we never touched it in the development stage. Like the Monster we did, but it's crazy to think like the way the brand's growing. Like a lot of brands, there's just so many different shoes now that they want your opinion on all of them. So like it's interesting to have the athlete's perspective on that for sure. It's just like we're not going to always be able to try every single shoe.
There are some very cool On shoes coming out in 2023 though.
They are very cool. We got to get a little sneak peek, didn't we, boys?
I gotta say, the coolest thing about On shoes now is that the shoes themselves are getting really, really good in terms of performance and like just being actual good running shoes, and they all just like look really cool now.
Yeah.
All the new ones always, like On has cool looking shoes, it always has, but now it's like all their shoes look fucking sick, and they're just like exciting to wear.
There's one shoe in particular that I don't know if we can mention on the pod, but we were looking at it when we were at the store, and me and George, luckily, were sample size. We're trying it on. We're like,
the Fat Boy?
Yeah, the Fat Boy. Oh god, me and George were just we're getting a bit too excited with that one. I think we wanted to steal it from the shop.
You should have. But yeah, so it was very cool to be part of the running event in the small capacity that we were. Hopefully we'll be back next year. I guess we'll see what happens. If the race is in Austin again, then we'll be back.
I think, like, do you guys think predicting wise, because this meet technically was a success, right? You had a lot of athletes turn up, a lot of fans turn up. The course was the only kind of issue. Maybe like from that success.
That's how this episode goes.
Yeah, depends. I mean, if they've got success from that, maybe they could build on it to get a better course for the next one and get more teams to participate, and it's gold label. So it's I obviously I don't know what the metrics of success are for a meet like this, how would
but
you measure it?
I know that Jesse will get. He is sound running. His name's Jesse. He will get a shit ton of feedback about the course. So I assume that will be the major change next year. Will be a different course, and I think next year, as Ollie already mentioned, it'll be a bit more like Ritz will be more like we're not gonna come unless we know that the course is gonna be a little bit better.
And I don't want to toot our own horn, but a combination of Coffee Club before the race and OAC during the race. low-key made that me.
Yeah. We definitely helped. We definitely helped.
I actually had the best interaction with a fan. I don't think he
I
realized.
feel like they need us.
But like during the race when I was just like 100 meters ahead, he's yelling out, "No one's getting those fucking points!" Yeah, just cheering. I was like, "Oh, that just gave me fuel to go for another couple laps."
All right, well, I guess we have to get into the race now
let's
because it's getting too exciting. So race A was sweet. The race, this is kind of weird for a cross country race. Our first time doing this, I imagine. The races went until 4:30 and
So late.
5 or 5:30, which is so wild for a cross country race. You just assume it's going to be in the morning, but race day, super chill. Get there, ready to go. The conditions it was a kind of cold day for Austin, but that made it pretty ideal conditions for,
It's actually really nice
for racing. So that was sick. But I was pretty nervous. Well, I wasn't actually very nervous. I couldn't tell if I was nervous or not.
Can you let us know now when you decided to race or not race?
Oh, yeah. So I didn't even I forgot that was happening. But so I've had a knee issue for like a long time now, which we're trying to get on top of. But on Sunday before the race was on Thursday, we did like the most cross-country style workout. It was a pretty funny situation where our workout originally was just like a pretty standard fartlek that we've done like 100 times, and then Rich changed it on the day.
Changed it.
He changed
every
it.
fartlek we did.
And we're like, oh, what's going on here? And the workout, I would say, was kind of like a lot more intense than previous because we had these 800-meter reps on the grass, which were sick to do, except fucked up my leg pretty good. Because then after, I had like this pretty sharp pain on my shin, and I guess it was like one of the attachments right up against the bone, but it was like the pain was right in the bone. So if I have like a bone injury, I'm not going to want to race on it. But if it's something else, like you can run on it and probably won't make it worse. So yeah, leading into the race, I was stressing pretty bad because I just didn't know if I was going to actually race or not, because I didn't know exactly what I was dealing with here. So, and it was pretty sore, like after that workout, like Sunday evening, Monday, Tuesday, like I'm like struggling to run very much at all. So I'm kind of stressing out, and I really wanted to race like so bad. Like we've been preparing for it for so long. I really wanted to do this race with the team because it's probably the only race that we're going to do as a whole team.
That was a big like motivation for all of us, I think.
Man, I don't want to like let the guys down type thing. And then the day before it felt okay. It was improving across those days, so that's kind of why I thought I would be fine to race. The day before, I still wasn't sure, but it felt pretty good. And then luckily, Kip, our treatment guy, came down and got a lot of treatment. And then when I did the shakeout that morning, I could feel a little bit, but not too much. I was like, oh, I'm ready to go. Like, things will be fine. And then I stopped thinking about it because it's pretty shitty to be simultaneously worrying about a race and then worrying about if your leg is fucked or not. You want to just be able to put all your energy,
eggs in one basket,
all your eggs into the worrying about the race basket. So that was not fun. But then,
so we're locked in now, though.
Yeah, and then I was like, whatever happens. Because it was kind of tough because I had like a pretty real talk with Ritz the day before, where I was like, I don't know like what's going on here exactly. And then Ritz did the maneuver of like, well, you're the one that knows your body the best, so I'm gonna like leave it up to you to make the decision, and like I trust you. And I'm like, yeah, I really appreciate that you're saying that, but last time that happened, I had a stress reaction and I raced through it. And so just so you know, like maybe I'm not the best judgment.
Yeah, he would never do that to me as well. If I said I had a niggle or some injury, he'd be like, "That's it. You're not running." Like, because he would just won't trust my judgment at all with my body. Yeah. But with you, like he has a confidence in you because you know your body pretty well.
But for people that don't know, that happened to me in college one time where I was at conference and I had this pain for 2 weeks, and Mick was like, yeah, it's up to you, man, if you want to race or not. And I was like, fuck it, I'm going to race. And then I like had a broken foot.
Well, you won the 3K or the 5K, and then apparently you were like, you did the double and you were hobbling. And Mick was like, where is he? Like, he's not running. And then all of a sudden Morgan just sneaks into the line and he starts to race.
It was like, so that one was clear because I wasn't sure. See, this is why my head was so fucked leading into the race, because by the race day of the 3K, I couldn't feel my foot pain at all. Like there was no pain there at all. And then after racing the 3K and then the 5K, my foot was like fucked. Yeah. So that's why I was like to Ritz, like I do appreciate you
giving me the reins.
Like having it like this, but also just so you know, past experience.
I've had this happen before.
I have a bit of PTSD.
I feel like everyone's had. I've been in that situation so many
It's pretty
times.
shit. You just don't know.
Yeah, with Smith when I qualified for NCAA's altitude that one time that morning, I'd been to Hypo 2 guys in flag. People know them, and I my metatarsal was like double the size of the other one. Jesus. I was like, this is not good. I'm gonna go up there, and he's like, yeah, dude, this is either fractured or like there's definitely a bunch of bone stress in here. You shouldn't run. You definitely shouldn't race tonight. Like I drove up there, just being like, all right, shit, you gotta see what this guy says. And then he's like, yeah, you should take some time off. And I was like, oh, if I'm gonna take time off already, I may as well just do one more race tonight.
It's good.
The logic's there.
I told Smith that, and he's like, yeah, dude, up to you.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, well, if it hurts, maybe I'll just like stop after a lap. And he's like, fuck no. If you start this race, you're finishing. I was like, right, fair enough.
It's always so hard to be in that situation. Cause
so then I qualified for NCAA's and then I just stopped running.
It just sounds like a gamble. It just literally sounds like a gamble.
Well,
like
you
just rolling the dice.
Yeah, and you just don't know exactly what's going on most of the time, so it's really hard. But so yeah, that was my situation leading the race. But then after the shakeout, I was like, all right, we're good to go. Like I'm gonna run on it and should be fine based on how it was responding to everything. So yeah, put that in my mind. Time to race. So then we turn up to the race. It was, it's like when you don't race for a bit and then you go back to the pre-race vibes where it's all the tents and everyone's got the music and it's always like, oh yeah, I remember this. It's kind of exciting, nostalgia. A little bit scary. And yeah, definitely a lot of nostalgia with cross country, especially because it's something we haven't done for too long. Classic situation when there was just like one bathroom that everyone had to share. Yeah. Pretty terrible.
That sucked.
Yeah, it's always like that, and everyone you just keep seeing the same people in the bathroom. They're like, "Wow, I've seen you here like 4 times in the last 10 minutes." It's like, yeah, sorry, but warmed up, very chill vibe at this race, obviously, because it's just. Yeah, not much going on. So
there were like 40 people there.
Yeah, very chill vibe. We're on the start line.
That start line was kind of like weird as well.
It was just a free for all. Yeah. No boxes, nothing.
No boxes. Yeah, everyone had their coaches or someone associated with the team go and stand on the start line like 10 minutes before the race so that they could reserve the spot for their runners. So that's the type of meet that it was, if that gives you any indication. And
probably like middle school vibes.
Yeah, big middle school vibes. Before the race, though, it was cool because like there was, I just had so much anticipation going into it because I'm looking at the field and there's so many talented guys here, and you just don't know who's going to show up on the day. And then the big thing that we should mention is that after only 400 meters of running, or even less, is when it narrows out. So the start was fine in terms of the width of the course, that was good, but very quickly it becomes to the point where only you can run 2 or 3 wide.
Bottleneck, yeah.
Literally like 2 or 3 wide, which for a field of that size, which was like 70 people and a lot of talent, it was like, wow, that's gonna be crazy. So
speaking of not knowing who shows up on the day, 2 minutes before the race starts, I see Edwin Kurgat the line.
Edwin Kurgat.
Is there Edwin? God damn it. Edwin Kurgat over there?
NCAA champ.
It's definitely one of those. But so we had decided before the race, I think when we were running around, we were like, yeah, we obviously want to get out pretty fast so we're near the front, but we don't want to kill ourselves. But then by the time we got to the start line, I think we were just like, fuck it, we just got to get out really hard because
I thought everyone would be thinking the same thing. But like everyone's going to be thinking,
get the hell out,
get to the front. That's the only way.
Yeah, so I was just so psyched to sprint as fast as I could for the first one because I'm like, well, everyone's going to be doing it, so like we got to do it. And then the gun goes off, and for us it was just a mad dash, and it was like it didn't. So we were. To my left, because I was on the very left of like the OAC people, was Andrew Colley, who is with Zap, and he's a really good runner, and he did really well, and he got out super hard as well. And so I was like kind of racing him. I was like, all right, I should be in front of this guy, just assuming that he was a good barometer for how fast everyone else in the field was going. But he wasn't. He was also going out extremely fast because then after 400 meters, like we were all just at the front of the race. I'm like, oh, that wasn't that bad. Except for Ollie was like 20 meters ahead of everyone.
I was also super psyched up. I was like, I got to get out the front because like I was definitely going through the mindset. Actually, to be honest, I have to be upfront with it. I actually didn't want to do the race. Like I was pretty scared. Because I just felt like I'm a bit of a wonky person, and that like if something happens, like I'll like I always think it's gonna happen to me, which is like a very bad.
It's not worth it.
Mindset to have. Like I'm thinking about like the worst case scenarios, which I shouldn't have been thinking about before the race. Like I'm gonna like break my ankle. I'm gonna like fall over and hurt myself, and I'm not gonna be able to run like the back like the rest of the year. Like I had that mindset, so I was freaking out secretly, and I was like, I got to get out. I don't care how far ahead I am. I just got to get out and got away from everyone. And then once I got out, because I've been so used to 1500 meter milers of just going out like an absolute freight train, I got out. I was like, oh, that was easy. And then I look around. I was like so far on the lead. I was like, fuck it, let's just keep going and then see where we are. Because like, I mean, for us, like the team title was the goal, right? We just wanted to win the team title. And then obviously if Morgan and Joe can get close to the front, get those 10K points. But I just took off, and I saw the fucking that big monster truck in front of me, and I was like, just follow this thing for as long as possible and see what happens.
I was so impressed at how fast you got out, because I was like, we were like sprinting, and you were like 20 meters in front, literally. Your first 400, I wonder if we can go back and try to find it, because I bet you it was like a 56 or 57.
Yeah, but I felt pretty good for 3 laps. And then I started to get caught, and then I was like, "I'll just chill with Kurgard and Kiptu." And then
there was some good battles going on though.
Our boy the Goose came through.
Yeah,
he was actually the only one who didn't get out hard.
Yeah,
so maybe
he actually probably ran it the best out of our team. I would say.
He came from back. So yeah, George and I had a nice moment 400 meters in, where we were running next to each other and we were like clear of everyone. I was like, I said something to you.
Yeah, I think you were like, well, that worked out well.
Yeah, that's what I said. That is what I said. I was like, oh, that worked out well. Because then we were just all at the front of the race. Yeah. I was like, well.
It was Ollie and Mario, and then me and you.
Oh, yeah, Mario was out with me as well. Mario got out
and then I could feel Clicker right behind us. I was like, all right, well, there's 5 of us in the top 5. So.
Yeah, it's like, well, we're probably not all going to die. We're probably going to secure this. So it was good, but it was very challenging because, yeah, we definitely did go out a little bit too hard, I would say, because.
Definitely.
So it was 5 laps of the course, and on the first 2 laps I was feeling it. Like I was like, I don't know if redlining is the right word, but I was like, yeah, I don't think I can quite keep this pace for a bit. But it was very cool because Ollie was on his own for that whole time, which was he was doing his thing, cool to see. But then we had a nice pack, George and I, where we were running with Klecker and Olin joined us after 2 laps probably, and then
we had Kiptu and Kurgat for a little bit, but then they went on a mission to get Ollie.
Yeah. And then I can't remember when Yared was with us after 1 lap, I think. I don't know how long he stayed with us for.
I think he ran maybe the 2 middle laps with us. I think he took off at the start of lap 4.
Yeah. So it was a good vibe in there. It was funny because so Olin Hacker, he was someone who was like, yeah, he's definitely.
He wants scouts.
All he wanted was to beat Morgan and Ollie,
yeah,
for sure.
He definitely
wanted to beat us.
Yeah.
And then he came up to us. And then after the 3rd lap, I think he went to the front of our pack, and I was like, oh, God damn. Like, because this is when I was like hurting. I was in recovery mode. I'm like, man, Olin's about to just drop us because he made a move. But then after he made his little move, he kind of slowed down. I was like, oh, maybe he's not. Like, he's actually like pretty gassed. And then
I still thought we were in a little battle then too, because Kip2 from NAZ was out front, and Olin I thought was about to take off, and I was thinking. I don't know what's happening behind me, but maybe NAZ is actually
in the
putting up a good fight here.
Yeah.
I was feeling some obligation to chase Olin down. Yeah. I was like, damn, I got to do this for the team.
Yeah. And then, so during that time, I guess they caught up to you, Ollie?
Yeah, so like so Dathan was just like, all right. And I like literally kind of looked at him and said, like, I was like, well, I'm at the front. Like, if a teammate catches up to me, then we're just going to use that to push through. Because I actually felt very, very in control the entire race. But I definitely think, and this is a bit of a humble brag, but if I ran that better, I would have probably been able to execute the race better. I just wasn't in a racing mode. I was more thinking, like, I just want to get this race done as soon as possible. So I kind of went to the front. And I just kept going, and then I was able to, like, you know those turns when you go up that hill?
Yeah.
You're able to see the rest of the field. I saw Kiptu and Kurgat working together. I was like, they're going to catch me for sure. Like, I can't just run away from these guys. These guys are absolutely, like, they're studs. So I told Weeding, I don't know why I told Weeding, but I said to Weeding, I was like, I'm going to let them catch me and I'll stick with them. And then I was like trying to get
mid-race?
Yeah, why did you tell him
you told Weeding, like, as you ran past him?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I wanted him to tell Dathan so Dathan didn't freak out that I was dying. But then Dathan just said, like, then Dathan went, like, I don't think Weeding relayed the message or maybe didn't hear me, but then Dathan just said, just latch onto them and just chill. So that's what I did. And then Wesley took the lead. I think it was like a lap to go. I think it was a lap. No, it was at the end of the 4th lap. Wesley started to die, and then Yared came up, and I was like, "Oh, this is unreal. We have a teammate together." So Yared goes in front of me, and I just like sit on Yared, and then we're kind of just like together. And near like the end of the race, because we went through all that sort of stuff, Kurgat was like 3 seconds ahead. Near the end of the race, we get onto the track, and I could just tell that me and Yared definitely had more legs than Kurgat, but Kurgat was just like, he just ran that way better tactically, and just like ran through and won that race, which he ran extremely well. But Yared, man, I thought Yared had an unreal race. I thought that was so sick to see, particularly with like the way his running style is. I just didn't think his like form would do well on that course. But then I think Ritz went back to me and said like, yeah, like because he's like kind of light, I think maybe that's why he did well over the course maybe. But he's just also just like an absolute racer. Like he's a competitor, and that was pretty sick to see. And then also a very wholesome moment from George going into lane 8 to let Morgan get those points.
Hashtag not textbook George.
Yeah. Hashtag opposite textbook George. Very wholesome moment.
Yeah, that was lovely.
That was the cool thing about like, because our team crushed it.
3-4-5 for the coffee club.
Yeah. 3-4-5 for coffee club. Our team pretty much crushed it. We were all together and like
6 in the top 9.
Yep, and we finished through and like I just the moment after that, like with the team, it definitely made me feel like I was back Big Tens Wisconsin. Like it was a really nice moment, and that was the one thing I loved about the meet was just like, and also just grinding with the boys. Like we trained so much together to be able to like win a cross country race like that. That was pretty fun. So
it was a ton of fun.
Yeah,
the course didn't make it not fun.
No,
we'll make that clear.
Mm-hmm. No, it was just scary.
Like we had a bone to pick about the course beforehand and after, but during it was just like it was zoned in. Yeah,
and it was cool, like because like I mean, like it's December. Like for us, it's just such an early indication of the year, but it's a good idea of where we're all at. And I think we're all like really freaking fit.
Yeah, I think it just showed that.
It just showed like for Ritz is like is a tick a box. Like no one got injured. Tick. Shows everyone's fitness, tick. Win the team title, tick. Like
t-shirt jerseys were a vibe.
T-shirt jerseys were the best.
Good to be able to do that.
That little hat too. The little hat I had.
The hats were
that
cool.
Did you wear that as well? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You and
Joe.
Joe had the yellow one. Dude, those hats with the t-shirt, that was a vibe.
That was a good look.
That's our cross country kit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One race a year. That's the kit.
I loved it. I loved like just like winning a team title with the boys, and like you can just tell that everyone's like. Just like, yeah, OEC, yeah. Like, it was just fucking cool, man.
Yeah.
I thought it was sick. Like,
I mean, it wasn't even close in the end.
No.
Which is kind of crazy. I know how fit some of those guys are, how good those teams are.
This is the thing that, like, I don't know how you guys feel about it. I don't think that, like, course, obviously, the fittest people are always going to come out on top, but, like, there is a horses for courses kind of situation where I think if there was a different environment, different course, I think it would be a different result. Like there'd be people there that would come through better than others.
Maybe.
But there you are right, like fitness does prevail. But in general, like that course, like it's just difficult. I think it's more difficult for others.
And we had people asking us after the race, like, what have we been doing to get so fit? Fog Dog's bloody chatting my ear off.
Dude, this is the thing we had last year. Remember?
Telling me they've been doing 20 by K and stuff in flag.
This is the thing we had last year with
in Boston.
Yeah, when we ran 13:09 and 13:12. We literally, like we said, we hadn't touched the track. We did some like mostly just fart legs and thresholds. To be fair, those fart legs and thresholds were unreal. We were crushing it, which we have been fortunate enough. Everybody's been killing it. But then when we were at Boston, everyone's asking us what track workouts we're doing. Everyone's thinking we're at the track just ripping Ks. We're very fortunate, I think, that with just that base, consistent base and training together. I think that's such a underrated.
I think that is
underrated, but
that is part of it. But I'm gonna give my 2 cents on it.
Oh, give me
this. I think there's a lot of it is the mentality we've created on the team. They're like, if you put on an OEC, and I think this for Mario mostly. I think if Mario was on any other team, he wouldn't have been leading after 200 meters. But if he puts on an OEC jersey, and the expectation is that we're all going to go to the front and we're going to crush this. So he's like, all right, I'm fucking in it. Like,
okay.
I'm doing it.
This is interesting that you say that because I think Yared's competitor, crusher, but I think he might have had the same thought process. However, the way you describe that, is that the same at NAU? When you put an NAU jersey on, they're like, I'm going to the front, I'm crushing.
It all makes sense now.
It all makes sense.
I think there is something about
There's
that.
something about
because you join
that.
the team. It's just the expectation that like you're not expected to go out conservatively.
Because Mick Byrne used to preach that. He said, when you put on a Wisconsin jersey, you got to put on the heritage and like what this program represents and all that sort of stuff. And I definitely felt that at some points, but I wasn't thinking about that a lot. Whereas like I think that idea of like if you're wearing an OAC kit for Mario or for Yared, like their first a few times racing in that kind of kit, it's like it holds that kind of like weight of these talented ass runners in this group in Boulder.
Like I think also we're obviously very fit, but there's definitely, and you've talked about it before, like putting people on a pedestal.
You can't do that.
And I think that maybe there's a situation where other people are putting like the OAC on a pedestal or something, so they're not even like kind of bothering to get to the point at the front where they're like racing us.
They probably.
But we just go there and we're like, yeah.
Owen did make an Instagram post though about it. He said
What did he say?
He said he had a plan. He said the plan was to let Ollie go out super hard and then catch him when he dies. Was able to achieve half of that plan. But the problem is he didn't achieve half of that plan because I didn't really die.
Well, maybe he's talking about the you going out very hard part then.
Oh, maybe letting Ollie go out super hard. Yeah.
Okay. I think that might be what he's saying there.
Because I was looking at it, I was like, I don't know what he means. Like,
I think he's saying that part.
Yeah. But like,
good joke.
But it's a pretty good joke. But also like the NIZ guys, they were kind of like us. I feel like they were kind of like our team when we first started. Like hungry, want to like prove themselves kind of thing. And I think they got a really good group there. I'm excited to see what they do. Those backpacks, man, they're ugly.
Yeah, they got to work
blue
on those
Hoka
backpacks.
They look shocking.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't talk about our backpacks because we don't have any, really. We have those black little ones.
That ones are nice. But yeah, they're not on.
The Hoka ones?
The
hoodie was nice, though. That Owen was wearing, that was nice.
Yeah. No, I think what you're saying there, George, is definitely accurate. And then also, once you're in the race, like that's like sets the tone for the mentality of it. And then once you're running, and for example, this is what I was feeling when I'm around you and Joe. It's like, well, I know I've been able to stick with these guys for like a good amount of workouts. I know these guys are super fit. I know I'm super fit. Like if I can just stay with them for as long as possible, like it's gonna
be right.
Like we're gonna do well.
Yeah,
so
we're gonna do great.
That's kind of just how it was, and yeah, very very cool to be in a race like that. And the way it played out was so sick. I think I don't know what it was like from the viewer's perspective, from a fan's perspective. I think if you were there in person, I have to think that it was a pretty amazing spectacle, just being able to like have the people come through 5 times and just like the different obstacles and stuff. I think that was sick. One thing that I think was very cool was the fact that Yared was our top runner, because you wouldn't have predicted it beforehand.
No.
I think obviously, like you look at us, you're probably just gonna say, "Oh, Joe will probably be the top runner," just based on like 10K fitness. Essentially, I think he's probably the one person on our team who that course didn't suit the most. Just
I think
style of runner.
Yeah,
but I think so. I've said this to the boys before. This is just another plug for the Super Distance League. I think it's so sick when you have a team race and the race is such that you can't predict very well how it's going to play out and who's going to win. Like I don't think anyone would have predicted that Ollie would be able to gap the field by that much. I mean, or that he was actually going to do it and hold on to it for that long and then hold on so well at the end. And I don't think people would have predicted that Yared would have been our top runner, but I think that just makes it so much more exciting compared to, I don't know, a track 1500 or 5K where it just goes exactly
the way you expect it.
The way you expect.
Makes it more exciting. I mean, that's one of the things that our sport definitely lacks, is a bit of like upsets, you know.
Just like, exciting. And like imagine if you had that type of race, you obviously bring it up a bunch of notches with more teams and more people in there, but you have like races like that 15 or 20 times a year, and it'd be so cool, I think, from like a fan standpoint, and just it'd be so interesting to witness it. And I think it's really cool as an athlete to be in a race like that where you know, George and I came 4th and 5th, and like we didn't win, but like you come away from that feeling like really good still. It's like the team won. It's like you know that you put in a great effort, you know that you're fit. Track has like a lot more pressure to it, I feel like.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's the same with like would I have liked to have won that race? Sure, but I think finishing 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, that was fucking sick. And we did it in like a way that looked dominant, but also like we got the job done kind of thing. And that was exciting to be able to celebrate that with the team. But it also just proves to each other that like we're in a really good place now at the start of the year. Like it's December. We want to be firing like in freaking August, September. So to have that situation where everyone's like kind of in a good spot. Apart from, I think Joe was disappointed, but like you just get those races, and also like he's gonna be fine. Like I think Joe's like done a really good job with his training so far this year, and I think he's gonna crush it moving forward because he's been so smart about how he's been training. But in general, like, I thought it was sick. Chicken Boy League starting the first race as a cross country race, I think like that would be such a cool way to start, because like even if you have a winner, when you start that league and start the points, you just don't know. You know it's going to mix up throughout the year. So starting with a cross race, maybe in Sydney. Or New Zealand or somewhere, and then like doing a track race in Sydney, like
then you do a bunch,
and then you go around the world and you start with a cross country race. That would be sick, because like it's just there's so variables, and then the next week it's like a 3K. It's so different.
The spectacle shows that the Super Sick Distance League definitely has to.
Are we calling it that? Or are we calling it the Chicken Boy League?
Let's call it the Super Sick Distance League for now.
Has to have a cross country race in it, but it has to be on a better course.
It has to be on a better course.
And
we would never race on a course
race,
like that. Don't worry.
I mean, Dathan...
we would never let that be in
We
the
walked
league.
away from that, and Dathan was very, very happy. But Dathan also hated the fact that all these coaches would come up to me and goes, yeah, hopefully we don't get, like, athletes don't get injured. And Dathan's like, that's not a prerequisite to going into a cross-country race. But in general, he said, and I know he's probably spoken to Jesse too, and said, like, we'd love to come back, 100%. But if it's on a better course. He said, if it's something like that again, we probably won't come back. But if you have a good course for our boys, love to do it again. And it's a great way to start the season.
Until Bowerman shows up, you're not going to see a true representation of the best pro teams head-to-head against
100%.
each other in America.
100%.
And the only way they're going to come is if it's on a bit. They're not coming to that course.
100%.
Like, they're not coming.
Even if they flew in, Jerry would just tell them to do a workout. He wouldn't put them on that course.
So the only way to get us to race against them in cross country is to make a better course.
Which is what everyone wants to
the
see.
question.
Everyone wants
How
to
do
see
you
it.
guys think that would have gone
We would have
on
won
that day?
We would have won.
You think so?
Yeah.
That would have been crazy.
You know what would have changed, I think, is our mindset would have shifted to like, we're going to fucking beat Bauman. Because like, I think when we're going in, we had a lot of great teams around us, and like an upset, we were definitely the favourites, but an upset could have happened. But I don't think we felt as much pressure as if Bauman were there. If Bauman were there, we have something to like, okay, we could, like, these guys are amazing, the top team in the world. We want to race them. We want to compete against them. I think that would have changed our mindsets in particular. I think we would have definitely been in a different situation where we would have just pushed way harder to make sure we got a team title. I believe.
That would have been so exciting.
It would have been so good.
And I think that's going to
way.
happen. Hopefully Jesse can like use maybe the hype that we got from this cross race, get a good course wherever it is next year, and is able to get Bauman to come. I just don't see them turning up though. Yeah. Regardless of how nice the course is, how great Jesse sets everything up, I don't see them turning up. I don't see Jerry doing that because I don't see him. Well, we can't get time off school, obviously, but I can't see him making that decision to send the guys down unless they just like, do they just go? Like, they just do it for training?
Yeah, I don't think it's happening either. They just
don't think
they got their plan, their schedule worked out, and it does not involve
cross country racing.
The fact that they did the Icodin relay though,
they
gives
did.
me a little bit of hope.
You're right,
but because
that was pretty random.
Yeah, but they're not racing us. That's American. They don't want to race against Coffee Club.
That was a publicity stunt.
They don't want to race against Coffee Club.
Yeah,
we'll see. Maybe
that's the dream.
Maybe.
Well, the dream is, this is my dream. The dream is that we get them there, and then Mike Smith Elite turns up as well, and then we're able to have a Coffee Club episode right after the race with Michael Smith and Jerry Shoemaker, and we have them together, and we just let them talk, and we just sit there. And
we don't even say anything.
We don't even say a word. No, Morgan does the introduction, and that's it, and then they just talk to each other.
Just witness it.
Just witness glory.
I think that'd probably just be Mike Smith talking and Jerry just sitting there not saying much, which I'm all for. I'm all about that.
But I just want to see Jerry react to what Mike's been saying. You know?
Nah,
do you reckon they've ever had a conversation, those two?
Yeah,
definitely. Interesting. I'd love to be around.
They get invited.
Fly on the wall on that one.
They get invited to places that we don't even hear about.
The Illuminati
They're
club?
in like the inner room.
Circle.
Yeah,
the inner circle club.
The
is
inner
Ritz
circle
in that?
inside the inner room.
Do you reckon Ritz is in that, or is he?
At one point he was.
At one point he was.
Not anymore.
He was knocking on the door now outside.
Yeah.
Let me in. Let me in.
Yeah, if he keeps it up, he'll be invited back.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was the race. Overall, we were so happy. I think it was just very fun, great, just like kind of raw in terms of just the stuff that makes you fall in love with running. Don't laugh at that word, Ollie.
Raw.
It was a real raw experience.
Real
for
raw
me.
XD.
So it was cool. Any other takeaways from you boys? We had a lovely barbecue after it.
Barbecue.
At the
That was
house.
where I felt like I had a small victory because I fucked up the order for the curry, but I nailed the barbecue. You missed out, unfortunately, because you're with your cousin.
I got that.
Oh, you got barbecue as well? Okay, so you
When
got
in
this.
Rome.
Delicious. Yeah, you got to.
So that was cool.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I think that was a pretty good summary,
Yeah,
honestly.
I think we covered everything.
Yeah.
In general, this is going to be the last pod we do, and then we're all going home.
Yeah, that's what's happening now. It's kind of crazy. It's only December 5th, but the first one to leave is George.
First one out of the nest.
Yeah.
George, how mentally checked out are you right now? Like, are you just like, I need to be home?
He's
right
in New
now?
Zealand.
He's in New Zealand already. He's been in New Zealand for a
I'm
week.
actually on the beach. Mentally, I'm on the beach.
Yeah, it's funny because I don't get homesick except for probably the 3 days leading into when I go home is when I start getting very excited.
You know
about
when
it.
I didn't used to get homesick at all, but then when I got into I don't know if you got this with Air New Zealand, I get into a Qantas flight and they do the safety thing, and you see all the like the
I just start hearing the accents.
the accent, but you see all like the places in Australia, like they do all the safety stuff. I get very emotional when I see that because it's like, oh, I'm going. The brain switches on. I'm going home.
I do love getting on the plane and the flight attendants have New Zealand accents.
Dude, I don't want to sound like an asshole, but like when you're in America, you forget how nice our accents sound at home. Not trying to disrespect
Even
the
over
American
the PA.
accent, but it's just like it's so soothing, the Australian accent to me.
Because we won't.
New Zealand
We're not
accent
going to
to you.
have that
It's
because
so soothing.
we're
people are
flying.
gonna hate
We're
that.
flying United, so we're not going to have that. However, the awesome thing because Morgan, to our listeners, Morgan hasn't been home in 3 years.
It's been a while.
2019.
It's wild.
So my
I've been home in
mum,
2 years.
yeah, I've been home. I was home very recent because of the trials, which I'm very lucky to have. But it was only 10 days. I didn't really get to be home. In general, my mum is more excited for Morgan to come home than I am. She is like, and like that's a nice thing because like I think she knows how your parents or your family who hasn't seen you in a very long time feels to have Morgan home. So it's nice to be on the same flight and see Morgan react to smelling the sweet air of Australia, being
so
home and hugging his parents and seeing his little cats that have been waiting for him at his house. So I'm very excited for
Dude, I
Morgan
think
to
a
be
couple
back.
of them died.
Your mum said two
That's
of
how
them
long.
died.
That's how long you've been gone.
Not to kill the vibe, but
No, but apparently there's like 3 left.
I think it's two
Two
or
left?
three.
2 or 3?
Yeah.
I just remembered I said I'd come to Sydney if Australia made the World Cup final.
Fuck.
Rip.
Okay, that
Damn.
Rip
You
the
just-
soccer.
you just- you
Rip
just
the soccer.
The Socceroos.
the soccer. I tell you what, good on them for making to the knockout. It's very hard to do knockout stage, and
So impressive.
definitely not one of the best teams we've put up for sure. Right, we've had some pretty good teams like Tim Cahill and what's the guy with a V in his last name?
Mark Viduka.
Viduka. And what's the
Just random.
goalkeeper?
We're just mentioning randoms. This is the 2006 Socceroos team. We're just
Well, I've just had my brain's not working.
Swartzer.
But in general, like
dream
they
team.
made the knockout stages. Congratulations to them. That was pretty amazing. But
New Zealand
I'm
didn't even make
upset.
the World Cup.
I'm
so-
upset because then George would have been in Sydney for the World Cup final, and but maybe we can get him to Sydney somehow. We'll persuade
Next
him.
time.
Do a coffee club exclusive in Australia. Let's see what the fans say.
Yeah, but so starting next week, the episodes will continue, but they'll just be via the interwebs. But
On the cloud.
yeah, so we're very excited to be heading home soon. Ollie and I are still here for like another week
Yeah.
or so we'll be around. But yeah, I think, is there anything else? I think that was a nice little summary of the race. I think just definitely can't overemphasize how cool it was to actually be able to go to a race as a whole team, all doing the same race, all with kind of the same goal. So once the what do we call it, Super Sick Distance League happens, that's going to be our reality every weekend. So just we have that to look
Every
forward
weekend.
to.
It's gonna be so sick.
That's what we have to look
The
forward
double
to.
SDE.
Private jets.
Exactly. Just getting
Yeah.
looked after.
Just have all these celebrities turn up to watch us run. Harry Styles is waving the flag, like in F1.
And
That's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
So
Instead, we'll be back in January for the cheat code that is BU indoor,
Yeah,
See you
we're going to
guys.
use that cheat code to the full extent of it.
and
Yeah.
it's still working well based on last weekend.
Hey, I like it. I like it that because people have expectations when they go run outdoor 5K. This is interesting.
I've never run on it, so I need to get at least one run on that track before they ban it or whatever's going to happen. But yeah, I think that's it for episode 63. Thank you everyone for listening. We'll see you guys next week.